Hello there, everyone. My name is Dev, and I thought I would start making some videos to show you my backyard garden here, and hopefully be able to help some people with their gardens. I'm not a master gardener by any means, but I've been gardening for a few years, and I've made a lot of mistakes. Actually, I've had more mistakes than I have success, and so by now I actually know what not to do. So I can tell you what not to do, definitely. And I just want to apologize in advance for the video quality and the sound quality, and sometimes I may stumble with my words like I just did. And I may, stutter or, slur my words just a slight bit, and I apologize for that. I've had some neurological issues for about 7 years, and I've been really sick, and so this is a challenge for me, kinda, and you're definitely never going to see my face unless it's by accident, because I'm really nervous, and that's just not going to happen. So this will have to be good enough. So this is my backyard garden, and I thought I would just do an introduction right now, and then subsequent videos I'll go over specific aspects of the garden. And I do most of my gardening in containers and or raised beds, and that's because we have a lot of challenges around here, including really hard-packed clay, dirt, and really shallow tree roots from my maple tree right here and from the neighbor's maple tree, and they're like 80 foot tall, and they have a huge drip line, and so the roots just come clear out, and you just can't dig down into that stuff because you'd be tearing up your tree roots. And so those are the reasons why I chose to work above ground, and it's easier to get to as well. I'm not getting any younger, let's just put it that way, and so it's easier on my back to have the beds raised up. And some people don't do raised beds this tall, but I wanted to give the plants plenty of space to grow, and the roots of the plants, of course, because, like I said, the soil down here is just so hard-packed that I was afraid that the roots wouldn't be able to go down in there as far as they needed to go, and so we raised them up quite a bit. So since this is just an introduction, I'll try not to go into too much depth about each thing, but sometimes that happens. But I'll try my best not to do that. So this is my raised garden bed over here, my north bed, and these are my 4 annual beds. They'll be doing mostly, vegetables and stuff like that just for the summer. And in the front yard, I won't go up there, but in the front yard I have a small perennial bed that I have asparagus growing in. And then over here on the other side of the yard, I have 4 more raised beds, but they're a lot smaller than the ones on the north side. And 2 of them, the 2 with the frames, these are strawberry beds. And then this one has this arch here. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. If I get too close to the fence line, my neighbor's dogs will start barking, so I'm trying to not go over there. But yeah, that's a livestock panel right there, and we just formed it into an arch, and then we built those beds around it. And I have green beans growing on this side and peas growing on that side. And I have to do my potatoes in buckets and in bags, and that's because I have vole issues, and I've tried to actually grow potatoes in my compost pile before because I had some volunteers one year, or actually 2 or 3 years in a row. They would just volunteer, and so I thought, well, I could just grow them back there, and I did, and it was really successful. And then the voles came along and ate all of my potatoes, so I have to do them in buckets. And I do a lot of other things in containers. These are in the black pots. These are blueberry plants, and they're already a couple years old, and so they're going actually in these big containers right there, and they're going to live in those permanently, and those will live out front with the asparagus bed. And then I do zucchini and tomatoes and other things in containers. These are my half whiskey barrel containers that I just planted my tomato plants in last night, along with some impatiens. And I go vertical whenever possible, so that's why you see all this trellising, because I really don't have that much space to work with, and I don't want things just crawling all over the ground. It invites disease and mildew and all sorts of problems, and then you can't keep the animals off of it and everything else. So I try to grow vertically wherever possible, and I have a lot of animal issues actually, and that's why those frames are on those beds. And so I have to be very creative. Let's just say I have a lot of obstacles between the animals and the bugs and the shade and the clay dirt and the trees and health conditions and everything else. But I just wanted to make these videos to show you guys that, you know, you can grow your own food. I'm kind of like John from Grow Your Greens channel. He's all stoked about, you know, teaching people how to grow their own food in whatever space they have available, and I'm all for it. I think he's great, and I think he's a good inspiration for people. And actually, I've given away a lot of my extra plants and everything that I grew this year. I started way too many seeds, and I've given them away to different people in my community, and everybody who's come over here has just been really impressed and inspired, and it makes me happy to be able to be an inspiration to people, because I want everybody to grow as much of their own food as possible. You know, I think it's pretty important in these days, and I'm an organic gardener, and I don't like to pay the prices for organic produce, so this is my way of growing some of my own food, at least. I mean, I can't grow everything that we need for our whole family, but I can grow some of it at least. And I have rain barrels for water collection. I have 2 on the back of the house, and I have 6 over here. And unfortunately, it has not rained very much since I got these 6. These 6 are new this year, and they're not full. I wish they were, but they're not. And so I have to use my tap water, and I don't like to use tap water because it has chlorine in it, so I bought a special filter to go on my garden hose. And so I've been watering with that, unfortunately. I've had some rainwater, but not a lot. And right here is my Wildflower Garden, which is not doing the greatest right now, but that's because everything you see in the center, they're just little babies. I just scattered some wildflower seeds in there. And so it's just a little token wildflower garden, really, because I don't have a lot of space or anything, and whatever. And so these are my homemade compost piles. The sides are made out of plywood that we were using in the garage as a climbing wall. And so all those shapes and cutouts, those are holds, hand holds and foot holds for climbing up. But we took that down a long time ago, and I didn't want to throw the wood away, and I needed a place to make compost. So we've got 3 compost bins right here, and they're slow compost. I'm a lazy composter. I don't have the muscle mass. I'm less than 100 pounds because of my health, and I just don't have the muscle and the strength to come back here and turn it and everything. So they are slow composting piles, and they don't get turned, and I just add things on top of them. And then around front, down my driveway, I do actually have a couple compost tumblers, which got filled up very fast, and so we were wanting to get rid of the piles, but that's not going to be possible. But you can see I've got a huge mess. I've got stuff laying around everywhere, and, you know, typical busy gardener, I guess. I mean, I would hope that other people are a lot more organized and clean than I am, but I've got a lot to do, a lot, and so it's just not perfect. It's not Better Homes and Gardens. But I thought I would just make this intro video and say hi, and sorry for being so nervous. But after this, I'll probably go ahead and make a few videos about various things, like I'll go into detail about what I'm doing here in my raised beds and how I do strawberry bed maintenance and stuff, and how I grow my potatoes in buckets. And so those will all be separate videos, hopefully, if I have the time to do all this. Okay, well, thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.